Steel Nation, welcome back to the Steel Curtain Network, and also welcome back to Steelers Nation Australia, where the up and down roller coaster continues. Now, I did a live which was recorded legit like 5 minutes ago, but I'm all over the shops in terms of podcasting, and I'm doing videos, podcasting, guests coming in, talking Pittsburgh Steelers, and you guys out there in the audience too from Steel Curtain Network are also listening to podcasts all over the shop. And it's fun. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be entertaining. But sometimes it can be a bit frustrating and just in terms of, is our team playing good? Is this doing that? But the up and down roller coaster continues. Now, we talked about it. There was even a few podcasts ago. It was 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It was, you're handing the Bengals the loss. The Bengals had a big loss, and we took care of business in 1 week. We day. The Pittsburgh Steelers, a wee day, had James Pierre going off. You had a fumble recovery for the end zone. You had Kyle Duggar going for a pick to the end zone. And then the Steelers have an injury with Aaron Rodgers, and Mason Rudolph fills in, plays great backup quarterback play. And the next minute, we almost turned a blind eye or a shoulder and say, it's all over. Season's over, mate. It's all over. It is all over. If you want to go listen to one of my lives or recent podcasts on Steelers Nation Australia, please check me out on YouTube as well. I can't swear on this podcast, and not that I even really want to anyway. Just sometimes it is good to have your emotional, you just want to let some steam off and say, F this, but I won't be swearing on this podcast. So if there are children around or family members or you guys out and on a date, I don't know, if you're in the kitchen making food or whatever, it's fine. Family friendly. I'm good as gold. Trying to be cool, calm, collected, and relaxed in that sense. But I do find the thing that's it's just frustrating, and I will not subscribe to the up and down roller coaster that is the Steelers season. And by what I mean by that is that the reason why I won't subscribe to it, it's the emotional roller coaster, right? Now, this to me, I'm recording legit like 2 hours after. 2 hours after from the future, and this will be played, a few days later, but 2 hours after the loss, and I'm already over it. It doesn't really bother me that much. You lose to a team 31-28 against the Bears, which is an NFC team. There's no real playoff implications in terms of wild card seeding a race. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers are a team now with 6 wins and 5 losses. There are some really good wins in terms of, had the Vikings good win in Dublin. I saw that live. I don't go, all the way over to Dublin and do a big trip to not support my team and come back one step. Oh, we suck. We're terrible. In that sense, the Vikings, the Bears win is in the grand scheme of things doesn't mean too much because you're probably better off beating New England Patriots if you have a tiebreak with them, even though they're leading the division, or you're better off trying to beat, the top teams in the AFC. Yes, we beat the Colts, but then we had a really bad match against the Chargers. So this sense where it's like the Bears win 31-28 and the up and down roller coaster, like I said in my live, if you do want to check that out, go back and check it on Steelers Nation Australia. On my live, I was pretty much talking about the Steelers with their schedule, right? Fan base were happy. We were happy winning and beating Minnesota Vikings, or even we're pretty happy beating we had a win against New England, 21-14, turnovers. Pretty good. Minnesota Vikings, we beat them in Dublin, 24-21. Pretty crazy game. We win that game. We then smashed the Browns, 23-9. We take care of business, and Gabriel made him look like a rookie quarterback. Then that's the roller coaster going up. The free fall, however, was the fan base, maybe not the bit of the team, so somewhat team and fan base, is Cincinnati goes down. Bad loss. Can't win on Thursday away. Not many teams in the AFC North can. Then that free fall continues with Green Bay. 35 going down. 35-25, lose that game against Green Bay. Then, when you all think it's over and the Steelers are 4-3, who was this team? What kind of team are we? Are we defensive-led team? We are allowing way too many plays. Is Slay getting burnt? There were injuries towards Deshaun Elliott. Jalen Ramsey's never moved to him. We went and got trades and that kind of stuff. The Steelers then beat Indy 27-20. Go back up. Roller coaster's going back up. It's like one of the Batman or Superman roller coasters, up and down, up and down, up and down. Then, as that happened, the Chargers, we go out to LA. We lose against the Chargers. We lost. All right. So we're sitting like, all right, what are we? We're a 5-4 team. We lost against the Chargers. However, last week we stopped one of the best running attacks in the NFL. That's Indy. Happens. Then we verse Cincinnati and we smash them. We get 2 picks, 2 turnovers. They continually say, who they, who they go and beat them Bengals. We beat them Bengals. Feeling pretty good. Feeling all right. Mike Tomlin and crew looking pretty good. 6-4, have somewhat chance and control their own destiny in terms of the AFC North, and they have big games coming up versus the Ravens. Feeling pretty good. Then Rodgers hurts his hand. Rudolph comes in. Next minute, we go to Chicago. Haven't won there since 1995. They're 1-13 in Chicago. There must be something that we cannot get a head around in terms of playing there. It doesn't matter if it's 1944, 1945, 1956. We cannot win in Chicago. They're 1-13. We lose today's game, or a few days ago, we lose it 31-28. And what I find really frustrating, not the fact that we lost, the fact that the same viewpoint or the same 2 words fired Tomlin for each loss, when in reality, they're really different games. If you go back to Seattle, right, they had kickoff return. Now, maybe you shouldn't have Caleb Johnson on the kickoff return. He's now been pulled out. He fumbled the football or didn't recover it, and it was a TD, right? Cincinnati game, that loss. So they're calling fire Tomlin. They've said fire Tomlin 6 times. The 31-17 Seattle game, fired Tomlin because you can't manage a game, and it was Tomlin's fault that Caleb Johnson, muffed the football or didn't know the rules. However, I will grant the argument that maybe Tomlin should have not put him back there. But as a player, you've got to know the rules. So that was a fire Tomlin. Then you go back to the Cincinnati game where he cannot win. Mike Tomlin is 0-9 on Thursday night away games. The AFC North team traveling to the home team on a short week does not win. There's a stat out there somewhere like the AFC North teams are like 5-20 something or 4-something. They just don't win. And Mike Tomlin was a part of that. That loss was a bad loss. Fire Tomlin. The Green Bay loss, 35-25 versus a good team at the time. Fire Tomlin, right? Lost by 10. Then you go to Chargers. You get your butt whooped 25-10. Fire Tomlin, where a Chargers team played much better football. At the same time, in a competitive game, wasn't the greatest game. In a competitive game where the Steelers lose 31-28, it's fire Tomlin. Those 2 words to me right now have absolutely no meaning. None. First of all, the Steelers and the Rooney organization are not going to fire Tomlin. The best case scenario for fire Tomlin fans out there is the fact that Tomlin's contract runs out in 2027, I think 2 years away. That's it. How can you compare Chicago, Green Bay, Cincinnati, and Seattle in those losses for the exact same thing? Fire Tomlin. There's no meaning towards that. Now, when you go to the game, was the game good from our perspective? Were they competitive? I think they were competitive. There are certain times that maybe the Steelers should have, been smarter on offense. Calvin Austin needs to know how to line up. That could be on coaching as well. But in the grand scheme of things, you got to line up correctly. Mason Rudolph runs for a big run for a first down, and it sets you back, right? Mason Rudolph. And I think even the point is he's got to get the ball away quicker. However, the counter argument is that Mike Tomlin probably should have had a better protection than Darnell Washington getting beat like twice by the Chicago Bears outside linebacker. So, yes, I understand the frustration. I get it. People are very mad. They're upset. They're annoyed. But I can't live there. I can't play this game of the up and down roller coaster because next week is the Bills. The Steelers are 6-5. They still have a chance to verse the Ravens twice. The Steelers right now have to win the division for any chance to have playoff success. Did the Steelers miss Aaron Rodgers? Probably. Did they want to play him with his hurt wrist? And if he fell over on his left wrist, there breaks, that would be a bad time. So there's arguments to everything. If Coach Tomlin does one way and it doesn't go the right direction of the fan base, or they choose a play call and it misfires and something happens, the fan base goes after him, goes crazy. However, in a certain example, when Mike Tomlin has a 4th and 1, going for a tush push for the second time, and he runs a reverse and a fake towards Kenny Gainwell, who goes 55 yards to almost near the end zone and gets 1 yard away from the end zone, you hear crickets. You don't hear anything about that was a good play. Mike Tomlin is, of course, the top of the top. It's Rooney, then, Omar Khan and Tomlin together, and he does share the blame and responsibility, and I'm sure he does. He's a true professional in the league. But to me, just saying fire Tomlin with 2 blank words means absolutely nothing. I would rather, if you're on the live chat or if you're talking to me in the street or the pub or the bar, give me something besides just fire Tomlin. I need something more. Here's what we should do. I believe the Steelers should do this. Why can't they do that? What happened with Tomlin doing X? Should Tomlin have gone for the field goal? Right? You get pulled and pushed either way. Anyway, I just want to leave that there for that moment because it does become overall a bit frustrating. But from my personal perspective, from a bloke in his room, talking about Steelers, Steelers Nation Australia, all the way from Australia, on G'day Steelers Nation, on Steel Curtain Network. And I'm sorry if I'm speaking too fast. I'm just really amped up. But from my perspective, it's not that big of a deal. It's a loss. The current theme is like when they lose a bad one. So the Steelers lose against Green Bay, they beat Indy. They lose against the Chargers, they beat Cincinnati. They lose against Chicago, they beat Buffalo. Now, this time of year, though, the Steelers need to start to string together some wins and start to have the schedule with 6 games left, getting towards Christmas. We're in December. You need to bank on Buffalo, win. Baltimore, win. Miami, win. Detroit, win. You need 3 or 4 wins in a row. You need something like that to move it forward and for your chance for the playoffs. But each and every week, up and down roller coaster, the Steel fan bases go all the way up and they crash out. All the way up and crash out and go down. So I'm okay with it. Like the loss is a loss. If I was playing sport, the mentality is get them next time. What you can't dwell on it. There definitely was some plays in there where I thought they should have got Darnell more involved. I thought they should have at least given Caleb Johnson some chances to run, even though the running game was really good. They ran for 186 yards in this game, and they lose. So maybe Rudolph could have been better, could have thrown the ball down the field more. In the first half, though, he had 21 points because it was working with halfback screens, receiver screens. But in stat-wise, I guess 171 yards isn't great for Rudolph. But you ran the ball 36 times. And you had 186 yards, 5.2 yards average, right? And the longest was 55. So that's a good sense. To me, it was a good competitive game. Good game. The Bears just played better. Steel Nation, we're going to go to a break here on Steel Curtain Network, so make sure you check out all the rest of the shows. There are podcasts pretty much each and every day. There are live stream podcasts, there are post games, there are a Scobro show. There's so many people on Steel Curtain Network with all varied opinions. So I appreciate you guys listening to Steel Curtain Network and also my opinion too. Because like I said in my live stream, and I won't swear here, but each and everyone has an opinion. It's entertainment. We believe X, we believe Y, we believe Z. But at the end of the day, we're all fans of the same effing team. Right? Can't we just take support in that rather than, this should be this, that should be that? It doesn't matter. If you say fire Tomlin, I go whatever. And I go, I support Tomlin, and you go whatever. But we're still crazy about this team. We're still crazy about the Steelers having a chance to win championships. And that's why we're here talking football. So let's go to a break here on Steel Curtain Network on G'day Steelers Nation. We'll be right back after this. Alrighty, Steel Nation, welcome back to G'day Steelers Nation. Also, welcome back to Steelers Nation Australia. Hopefully, I got my point across as best I could in that first part. The first part was really just trying to give you my perspective on it's not that big of a deal. And I think each loss is different in terms of we didn't lose by 31 points to 0. We lost 31-28. Mason Rudolph is the backup quarterback. He can win games. He can lose games. He gave a chance. and they were in a chance to move down the field to rally and tie the game for Chris Boswell. Or if they convert that fourth down, they're moving down the field in a chance to win. So, like, of course, there's different losses, but I think at the same time, the fan base goes back to two word, which has no meaning, fire Tomlin, right? But you don't really say, on the flip side, I never really hear the good game Tomlin. That makes sense. So, anyways, I want to leave it there. I want to leave the Bears stuff there because we're going to talk about the Bears and Steelers, and all the podcasts going to cover it. Steel Curtain Network going to cover it. But let's kind of change our thought process on what's going to happen over. And while I'm recording too, by the way, as I'm recording, I'm watching the Browns game. I'm watching Shedeur Sanders throw the football around. The Browns are winning 14-3. So if this comes to I guess, reality, and I can think about it, the Browns right now are losing 14-3. How cool would it be to see the Browns, when you guys listen to the podcast, they've lost the game 17-14? Be another way that Browns could lose. So I'm watching in the background Shedeur Sanders play football. But let's look at this in a different kind of sense. The Steelers have 6 games left. It's not over yet. There's been some really good things in terms of the Vikings game, the Browns game, the Colts game. They stopped the run. And there's been some really bad things too in terms of the Packers game and the Bengals game where we lost the first time. This is football. I think that, sometimes we forget that. I think the Steelers fan base and NFL fan bases forget that these are human beings playing a sport that they're kids. And it's any given Sunday where one week the Bills can lose, next minute the Chiefs can just sneak by and beat the Colts. This is the reason why we watch, even though every game is a heart attack game. The reason why we watch is for moments like this that you would hope to see Rudolph move down the field and save Christmas again. Didn't happen. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe my perspective is too positive. Maybe I need to be more critical in that sense, but I just can't stay there. I can't stay there and be critical of a team that also has been quite successful. Not only in this, the last 20 years, they've won 2 Super Bowls, which a lot of teams can't do. E.g. the Bengals and the Browns Browns haven't won one ever. They've won championships, and the Bengals have never won one. So I can't be too critical of a team that have done some good things in terms of setting themselves up for success with 2 Super Bowl runs, and I'm very thankful for that, right? This next 6 games, though, the Steelers need to turn the corner and start to have wins back-to-back, and I guess be competitive. Maybe Rodgers comes back and he plays against the Bills. I think Mike Tomlin said he could be a maybe, or they'll find out next few weeks. But can the Steelers go on a 6-game run? Like, what will happen if they go on a 6-game run? If they go on a 6-game run and we have momentum, they're confident, they're getting healthy, they bring back Elliott, they have, the secondary is playing pretty good in terms of who's the bloke there? James Pierre is looking like he's playing in the starting lineup over Slay. Do you get the interceptions again? Kyle Duggar, Elliott comes back. Like, they start playing really competitive football, and they can beat the Bills and have a crazy game against the Ravens and go into their house and beat them. I know I'm thinking way too wild and too crazy. However, if this starts happening now, the upward projection and the roller coaster goes back up, right? But it's all about that loss. When they do lose, whooshka, they go right down. So this could be a chance of Steelers. They just got to start to figure it out. Now, of course, you can come from the other angle. The Steelers aren't really a playoff team. They're not going to win with Mike Tomlin. They're a 9-8 team. They're a first-round playoff exit. However, I don't stay there. I do not stay there. I don't want to stay there. I don't want to be in that conversation. I simply want to go and try and go week to week and see if we can bounce back against the Bills, because they look pretty good. A few weeks ago, they looked really good. Last week against the Bengals, really good against the Colts. There's some time where the Steelers have, I guess, chances where they're a good team. They're a great team, right? And they've got these wins. They just can't seem to back it up. They had 3 wins in a row: Patriots, Vikings, Browns. 2 losses, 1 win, 1 loss, win-loss. It's just up and down season roller coaster. Anyway, Steel Nation, I think, for me, in how am I going to view the next 6 weeks? You need to be competitive against the Bills. I think Rodgers will come back if he got a sore wrist. I think he plays. I think the Steelers did miss that bit of direction. No offense to Mason Rudolph. I think he can play quarterback, but they missed him. I think they also they leaned to more on again with a run game. Run game was fantastic against the Bears. Had 36 something carries and a lot of yards, and they start pushing the field down that way. But you got to feed Darnell. There'll be a stat coming out on Twitter somewhere that he didn't play 40 plus snaps. And every time he plays 40 plus snaps in the offense, Darnell, and he's like 9-0 or something like that. You need to give the ball to Darnell, DK Metcalf in space. They do need that factor of a true receiver number 2. We've been talking about that for 2 years. But we all know that these problems exist with the offense. But to keep that game competitive versus the Bears isn't that bad of a loss. But same time, accountability, a loss is a loss. A win's a win. Kind of move on from that standpoint. I just hope this team can get back to playing competitively each week and winning back to back, because we haven't seen that for a while. And I understand people want to fire Tom. I get it. It's just getting a bit, just get over hearing it, mate. Over and over and over. All right, just to hear that all the time. That's all I hear all the time. Now, I just saw also the Browns just kicked a field goal to 17-3, so that would be even better. If the Browns lose this game, it's going to be actually could be Sanders' first win as a starter and their first starting win in like 19 years. But this, to me, is why it's so exhausting, because in some aspects you do see a playoff team where the team can beat the Colts. They turn up and show up, and you see that TJ Watt had the sack against Caleb Williams in the backfield today. They definitely can do stuff like that, and then you'll see them make losses. But if you look around the league, from all 32 teams, I would rather be a Steelers fan than a Bengals fan. I'd rather be a Steelers fan than the Titans. Titans have now lost 6 in a row, 1-10. The Las Vegas Raiders are now 2-8. They're currently losing. The Giants have been eliminated from the playoffs, 2-10. They've lost 6. Commanders season went down the toilet. They're lost 6 in a row. The Minnesota Vikings, who we beat, 4-7. They're hanging around slightly, but they're pretty bad. The New Orleans Saints are 2-8. They're pretty bad. Cardinals are 3-7. Their teams right now have no chance. At least the Pittsburgh Steelers have some chance. But this is the flow of our season. The last few years, it's up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, all the time. And I understand what the fan base is super, super frustrated. Anyway, Steel Nation, we're going to call it there today. We're going to do a bit of a short episode. Pretty much my main talking point is it doesn't have to be that big of a deal with a loss towards the Bears. In the grand scheme of things, if you were going to lose against anyone in the NFL, you're better off losing against to an NFC team. However, you don't want to lose, but that was the backup play of quarterback Mason Rudolph. Offensive line wasn't that great today. They weren't getting a pass protection on his blind side. They had Darnell Washington get beat twice over there. He's a tight end, not a left tackle. He got beat. So these things happen. Football gets played out. Meanwhile, they were average to maybe good team. They had a chance to win down the field. You had a minute to go with no timeout. I don't know why they lost a timeout there. And then they had no timeout, moving down the field, and the Steelers go for a 4th down. Should they have kicked it? Maybe. But then if they go out there and Chris Boswell misses, should they have gone for a 4th down? They went for the 4th down, didn't get it, and here we are. We're 31-28. The Bears win. I don't know. Maybe next time we can see them could be Super Bowl. Steelers versus Bears in Super Bowl. Look, I'm not even joking, but I just think that I think we overreact way too much, and that's just the way that social media works now. It's the way that YouTube works now, that podcast works now. It's the way that you listen to the podcast, and we just overreact to everything. So, Steel Nation, thank you for checking out. G'day, Steel Nation on Steel Curtain Network. I'm just hoping the Steelers can play a little bit better, get those 3 points, get those 4 points, get that 7 points in front, win games, upset the Bills. The Bills Mafia will bring their tail. They'll start jumping through them, And it's Steelers versus Bills next week. What more can we do? All we can do now is listen to podcasts, write comments, jump in live chats, have our opinion, have our say, support our team. And next week, the Steelers versus the Bills. That I'm already there. I'm already over it. Like, we lost. All right. Next minute. All right, Steel Nation. Thank you for checking out G'day Steelers Nation on Steel Curtain Network. And also, if you guys want to check out my work on YouTube, it is Steelers Nation Australia on YouTube, where I go on some rants and tangents and have some fun doing lives. And also, if you want to check me out on Twitter, it's Steelers Oz. So Steelers OZ. Good fun. Even though we're lost, good fun. The season's not done yet. We've got 6 more games. If you like it, dislike it, love it or hate it, we've got 6 more games to go. 6 more games to go. And it could be playoff territory, or it could be a rock and roll roller coaster all the way down. One big drop all the way down. Steel Nation, I'll see you guys later.